have a book for you that I just finished today. And I wasn't going to read it at first. I was not going to read it, but I'm so glad I did because it is such a fun book. I love when authors let the main characters, who are the women in their books, talk their shit. Because what do you mean that you tell this person that I make more money than you? And so you don't got to worry about power dynamics because, baby, I could buy you and this house. Baby, this is chump change. Like, yeah. I don't know why they made me laugh so hard in this book, but it is. But this book is by one of my favorite authors, and this book is called Make Room for Heather by Monique Fisher. This is the cover of the book. If you can see it, it is hilarious. So, in this series, there are friends, there are friend groups, and they all have like money. Okay. Now, this young lady named Heather, Heather has the most money because Heather's parents are very well off. Heather's great grandfather, no, grandfather, I'm sorry, it's like great grandfather. Grandfather started a business of making watches. And because of that, his family has been able to prosper. Now, her daddy is German, her mama is African American, but mama's family is from Senegal, I believe it is. Heather is a girl who has everything at her fingertips. So much so that mommy and daddy are like, you're spending way too much money. Why are you on a yacht on a Tuesday? And why were you on a yacht like 2 weeks ago in a whole nother country? What are we doing? Why are you doing it? And so she's like, what do you mean? Like, what else would I be doing on a Tuesday but be on a 50-foot mega yacht? Like, are you serious? Like, and yes, I have to hire a photographer and a videographer to, get all the content. And yes, I have to buy new wardrobe for every trip. What are we talking about? And yes, I am a 30-year-old woman, but yes, you all allow me to do these things. So I'm going to continue to do them because what? And so Heather is in this space where her parents are like, Heather, you cannot have a 50-foot yacht on that you rent on a Tuesday and be going all over the place because Heather, yes, we have the money, but you need to get a job. And if you don't get a job, you don't get your trust fund. And Heather was like, a job? Like, what is that? Like, are we poor? And she's like, I don't understand. Like, I'm not poor. So why do I have to get a job when you own a company and we are multimillionaires? Like, we make watches that cost as much as a mortgage. Why are we like, as a house, not a mortgage, a house? Why do I need to get a job? Like, I haven't had a job ever. And her parents were like, if you don't get this job, you're not going to get your trust fund and you're not going to have your monthly allowance. And so she's like, fine. Okay, fine. No problem. I have friends in places and they can get me a job. I have a sort of kind of resume ish and I got this. So Heather writes up a resume and goes to one of her friends and he's like, oh, I thought we were going to lunch. She's like, no, I'm here for a job interview because I know you own this wine bar and I can work here, right? Um, I work here because I like wine. I have expensive tastes and I could do this. You just have to hire me. And he's like, no, no. But let's call our other friends and see what they can do for you because you're not going to blow up my business. I don't care. Like, what are we thinking? What are you doing? And so they call around. All her friends are like, I don't have a job for you. Like, what type of job are you talking about? Because I'm looking at your resume and you have your name and where you went to school. That's it. Everything else is nothing there. And so Heather decides that, you know what? I got 6 months, I can figure this out. And so she gets a call that, hey, there is a certain rapper, certain famous rapper, who wants to, you know, he wants to find someone to watch his children. And he has gone through 3 to 4 different nannies because his oldest child she's kind of a hellion, right? She wants things her way, and because she is the oldest, the two youngest listen to her, all girls. She's 13, and so she's like, I could do that. Heather's like, I could do that. I've never been a nanny before, but I have cousins. Like, it can't be that hard. And it wasn't. It wasn't that hard. The problem was that the man that she is going to be a nanny for sees her and is like, oh, you are beautiful. I need to watch myself around you. Because you have the look, you have the everything about you, from your hair to your face to your body. I need to, keep myself on the up and up, because there's an imbalance if I was going to talk to you, because there's an imbalance of, I am your employer. And she's like, don't worry about it. I can buy this. I can buy this house. I can buy everything you have in this house. There is no power imbalance because I have money, baby. And so he's like, oh, okay, you're right. You're right. You're right. Don't worry about it. And I love that part because it was hilarious, because in a lot of these books, you don't see that. You usually see a male figure male character who has the money. He's a billionaire or whatever. And so he kind of has to take care of this woman who's coming into his life. And she's like, you don't have to do anything. And it's funny because there are moments in this book where um, she is asked about money, and she's like, don't worry about it, especially when it comes to this man's girls. His name is what's his name? His name is Jules. Damn, I really just finished this book today. And what is his name? Is it Jules or is it Julius? Yes, and they call him Jules. Duh. Okay, Julius. And so Julius has three girls. The oldest is 13. I think the middle one is maybe like 8, and then the baby is, I think, like 5 or 6 in my mind. And so, thank you. And so, these children are dealing with a lot because they have a mother who he was married to, high school sweetheart, middle school sweetheart, but all she wants is the money. Then you have this other, his family, who is an aunt, and then his cousin, and they are pretty much using him. His aunt put him on because his aunt realized that he had a talent, and so she put him into the space to be a rap phenom, right? He has the money, he has the looks, he has everything going for him. And so she now is like, I want to retire, and so my son should take over as your manager. Problem is that Julius is a people pleaser. And Julius does not want to disappoint his aunt because he feels like his aunt is the reason why he has gotten as far as he has gotten, because she saw his talent first. I'm not going to give it all away because it's a novella, right? I think it's only 13 chapters, right? So I'm not going to give it all away. But what I will say is, let me go into the content warnings, because I didn't read the content warnings. I just started reading the book. Don't do that. Don't be like me. Read the content warnings, okay? I'm talking about this book, which is called Make Room for Heather by Monique Fisher. And let me go to the cover. I'm talking about this book right here. That's the cover of it. This is a part of a series, and this is Heather's story. So it's a novella. It's 13, I think I said 13 chapters. 13 chapters. And content warning, I didn't read it. I just started reading it. And so it was some things that surprised me. I'm not going to say what they were because, again, this is a novella and it's a quick read. I read it in one day, in a few hours. And so I'm not even going to get into that. But what I do love is that the author put in the connections and the tie-in. So as I said, this is a part of a series. And so the author put in how we know these characters. So Heather, who's the main character, she puts in where you met her, in the book that she was in, and then also how the other people who are talked about in the book, how they are a part of this whole, I'm gonna call it, ecosystem of these books. Now, to get into my review of this story, first of all, as I said, read the content warnings. I did not. The content warnings for this book are BDSM, explicit sex scenes, brief mention of homophobia, and misogynoir. I will say that I think the author, for this to be a novella, did a really good job with packing a lot into 13 chapters because she was able to, one, talk about this man named Julius, and Julius is a people pleaser. And it's always interesting to me because you rarely see that in stories. I've never, not never, I'm not gonna say I've never seen it in stories, but it's very rare that you see a main character who is a male being a people pleaser. And so to see him be a people pleaser and navigating being a people pleaser because of the guilt that he felt and all of those things that were happening because of his trying to please too many people, how he was having so many challenges with headaches and his body because he was feeling overwhelmed. The stress was like up to here. And so Heather comes in and I won't say she's aloft, but aloof. But she was pretty much like, I'm here to do my job. I'm here to take care of the children. You could tell that she actually did care about these children and she liked them. She had a binder and she was like, I read everything about these babies, so I know what they each like, and I'm here, I'm in it to win it. And because of that, she saw him for who he was. Did she want to rock his bones? Yes, she wanted to have some heated fellowship. She was very clear about that from the beginning of the book. And I'm like, I'm here for that. I'm definitely here for that. She was a woman who knew what she wanted and she let him know, listen, I am here for the get down. Let's get this heated fellowship together because, yeah, I don't mind. I really don't mind. Let's go. You got a bed? We could do is the floor cold? Because we can get it in on the floor. Whatever you want, I got you. We good. Let's get it in. And so I appreciated that. But content warning. Content warning. I was not prepared for how she got down. Sis was getting down with the get down. And it kind of surprised, I'm not gonna lie, it surprised me in the book because I was like, oh, this is the first time you having relations with this person and you going from the rooter to the tutor. You know what? You like it? I love it. Because that was wild to me. But again, 13 chapters and the author put every piece of it in. The other thing that I really enjoyed is because this book does talk about misogynoir and homophobia, there was a point in this story. I'm trying not to give it away because, again, it is a very short story. There's a part in this story where you have, um, how do I say this without giving it away? Okay, there's a part in the story where something was shared without consent. A video, let me just say, a video was shared without consent. And because that video was shared without consent of the two people in that video, the main character, male, Julius, had to go on the defense. And when he went on the defense, he took that shit head on. He was like, I don't really care about me. You can say what the fuck you want to say about me because I know who I am. But don't put your mouth on my girl because we're not about that life. Do not put your mouth on my girl because that's mine. I'll fight about mine. Okay? And so because of that, when he stepped to these two knuckleheads who were on a podcast, because niggas love to have a mic and talk that shit, but behind closed doors, okay, they were doing the same thing that Julius was doing on camera. But I appreciated that he was like, I'm a real nigga and real niggas do real shit. So I am going to go to the source because they keep yapping and I'm about to break this shit off. About to break my foot in somebody's ass. I got the money. We could do a settlement. And when he went and started talking to these people who were yapping at the mouth because they were red pill men on the internet who had a podcast, right? He was able to turn the tide of what was happening because he was fed the fuck up of them talking and talking and talking, and he had to take his children out of school because he didn't want them to get backlash or be swept up in this bullshit that was happening. And so when he went and he talked to these two guys, it was obvious that they did not care. They just wanted him to be seen as a simp. They kept using the word female. They thought that women are beneath them, and basically they just want someone to cook, clean, and have sex with them. And of course, Julius, being who he was, brought up that, oh, you sound like you just want a sex doll and a maid. You can get both of them. Why are we here? Why are we talking about women like this? And what I appreciated was that when he was on the show with them, when he was there, people called in, especially the women, and was like, listen, we can get down with the get down. What y'all did on that video, I'm here for it. I can do that with you. Do you need a third? You and your girl can get it because your girl is bad, right? And so because of that, the two men who were on the podcast, because they were calling him a simp and all sort of bullshit, were kind of like taken aback. Like, y'all don't see this man doing these things on this screen that we would deem that he would be gay. And they were like, no, like the girl is bad. Even the men were calling him, was like, your girl is bad. So yeah, no, we here for it. And I love that he was open to being and saying, like, I enjoyed what my girl did to me. Unfortunately, it came out not by our hands, but I don't regret anything. I don't regret it at all because I had a time. A time was had. Okay, cheeks was clapped. Tongues were put into places that have never been put before on my body, and a time was had. So what's the big deal? Why are you mad? Why are you calling me a simp? You mad because we know that it was funny because a woman called in and was like, "Oh, so you mad because you're not getting it in like that?" Hmm. Hmm. That's why you mad. And so that was interesting. What I also appreciated is something that the author did after that happened. One of the things that we talk about, and I'm about to get serious, I'm about to get real serious. One of the things that, oops, about to drop that is talked about a lot in the space of like the manosphere is how men will say not all men and then be like, but I'm a good man. And in this story, even though it's only 13 chapters, and I'm going to show you the title again, the cover page. This is the cover, Make Room for Heather by Monique Fisher. There was a point in the story when he finished with the podcast where the men who were degrading him and his girlfriend Heather were like, it's only for the podcast, right? And I was like, and he dapped them up and took pictures with them after. And so it put me in a mindset of like when women say all men and how there's this pyramid. I wish if this wasn't live, I would have that pyramid. But there's a pyramid where they had like men and, men who are like rapists and all those things. And then like below that, like different variations of what that looks like. And then there was another one, which was more so like a line, I think it was. And it really showed what happened, where there are men who allow other men to perform in this way, and they don't call them out on it. Yes, he called them out on their own podcast because he rolled the fuck up. But it was almost like, we just playing with you because we try and make these coins. And so we keep talking about what happened with you and your girl on this tape that you did not put out. We talking about it because it's giving us money. We're talking about it because it's sensational. It's viral. And so we need to keep talking about it. No hard feelings. That's pretty much like what it was like. And I was like, oh, this feels icky. This feels weird. This feels like what women talk about when we say, like, men say I'm a good guy, but yet he showed up to this podcast to give them a piece of his mind because the way they were talking about not him, but his woman, about Heather. And at the end of that, they still called him names. They still was trying to call her out her name, but he was like, I got money. I will knock all this shit over. Don't fucking play with me. I got lawyers and money. I will put you guys, both of you, under the table, in the dirt. don't fucking play with me. And even after all of that, they were still able to dap each other up like it was all good. That was weird to me. That was really, 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 really weird to me. Because I was like, how are you dapping this motherfucker up after after they, because it was two of them, pretty much told you to your face that you was a simp, that your girl, you're gay, all these other things. It was weird. That part I didn't like of the book. But everything else I enjoyed. I enjoyed how Heather, and I don't like to say this lightly, but because everybody's like, oh, safe place, safe place, safe space. But I loved how Heather was able to open his mind to what he might be interested in when it comes to his sensual side, and allowed him to have that space to explore, and he was open for it. So that part I really enjoyed. This is why I say men need to read more romance books, because I feel like Julius was a very good example of what and how, okay, what and how men should be like when it comes to protecting Black women, because he also brought that up in the damn when he went to the podcast. He was like, y'all supposed to be protectors, and yet you using words like female. What are you protecting? Help me understand what you are protecting if you are talking about women in such a derogatory way that they are beneath you, but you want a woman, which always lets me know that these motherfuckers are lying. They are lying because they know, although I'm not even going to say that, because there's some women who will go along with the program, and he did bring that up in the story. He was like, you two in the story, you are bogus. I'm going to say bogus because I can't think of the word he used, but he was basically like, both of y'all want a woman who performs for you, but you are not going to do the same. And then on top of that, you don't even know how to treat a woman, but you want to talk about females this and females that and how females should perform for you. Where they do that at? And then he also said, and furthermore, y'all want the women who are loud, who are boisterous, who have something going on about them. And instead of you going with the women who are okay with being your doormat, or okay with taking care of you, with okay with like losing themselves in you, you don't want them. That's not who you want. You want the ones who got something about them so you can break them. That's that's fuck shit, right? That's some raggedy ass fuck shit. That right there, that's raggedy. And so he brings that up. And so I was like, yes, this is why I think men should read this book. Because it's a prime example of how you talk to these men. Because he was real serious. You can say whatever the fuck you want to say about me, but leave my girl's name out of your mouth. And he backed it up with a real threat. I got money. I got time. You don't want none of this. I will take all of this away from you. And they was like, okay, yeah, you right, you right, you right. I'ma still laugh, but you right, you right, you right. So I that was, whatever. But this book, I read it in like a few hours. It's a novella. It's only 13 chapters. It is a part of a series, and so when you get into this, you can find Monique Fisher, and then you'll see the other books. I enjoyed them as well, but Heather's book, I will say, was funny because Heather was about that life. Heather didn't care what you thought about her. Heather had money. Heather was beautiful. Heather had two parents who adored her and just wanted better for her, and felt like the only way that they could get her to do better is by her stepping up and finding a job, even though Heather is in her fucking 30s. Heather didn't really need a job. Heather could live off of the money that her family had accumulated for generations. Heather really didn't need it. But I do think that because she was able to have these three children, these three girls, um, she was able to, I'm not even going to say not spend money because Heather was still spending money. So I get what her parents were trying to do, but I was like, Heather is a grown ass woman, right? She 3 decades in. What is you trying to show her about getting a job? Heather is 3 decades in. Heather. Heather don't care. So I get it. I was like, this could have been something that you do, when your child is maybe like a preteen into a teenager. She 3 decades in. She ain't worried about that shit. Even when Heather was dealing with the little girls, um, it was funny because she has money, she has connections, and so she was able to get people who would not make house calls to the house. Mind you, Heather's own family house was down the street from this house. And Heather was like, we looked at this house, but it was too small. Like, come on. Come on. That's why when Heather told that man, there is no power dynamics because I have more money than you. I don't know if I've ever seen that in a book with a woman saying that to a man. That shit was hilarious. And what I loved, because he wasn't no punk, he was like, you right. You're right. You do. You got more money than me. But I love it here. Hey, I love it here. So yes, I think men should read this book. I think men should read this book so they can see what, when we talk about real men who are not on no fuck shit, who are not a part of the manosphere, who see women as valuable members of society, but also understand that protection goes both ways. She can protect you, you can protect her. You are a partnership. That's what this story was like, 10 toes down. That's what the story was about. Because even without her using her money, excuse me, she saw Julius for who he was and was able to give him a sense of peace immediately by something that she learned because she was going to spas like every week. And seeing him, but also seeing his girls and standing up for his girls in a way that the other nannies would not. And not that they could not, but it could be like we said, the power dynamics. But she was about that life. She was like, you're not gonna talk to me any type of way. Like, who the fuck you think? Who are you? And Baltimore came out real quick. Who are you? Because what is this about? And she clocked the T immediately. She clocked it. So overall, love this story. Again, let me show you what the story is. Oop, shit. Make Room for Heather by Monique Fisher. Phenomenal story. Very short and sweet. Again, don't be like me. Read the content warnings because I did not, and so I let me go to what the content warnings are. Content warnings. Oh shit! Hold on, I didn't read any of that. BDSM, explicit sex scenes, brief mention of homophobia and misogynoir, and those first two, BDSM and explicit sex scenes, I was not prepared. Headphones in at work, listening and being like, oh, I didn't know it was gonna get down like this. Like this is okay. Heather is getting it in. Heather wasn't Heather was like, I was about to say something, but I'm not gonna do it because I want you to enjoy it like I did the first time. I was about to do emotion and everything. I'm not going to do it, but definitely get it. It is on Kindle Unlimited. Always support our indie authors because the work that they do is changing how Black women are loving themselves, are seeing themselves. It's changing our brain. Okay. Look at the work that people are doing when it comes to that. So get your smut on. That might be my new slogan, get your smut on. But definitely get this story, get this book. If you can, read the other stories because reading the other stories allows you to recognize who Heather is in the friend group. And so because I read the other stories, it's been a minute, but I was still able to like piece together who was who and what was what, which allowed me to enjoy the story a little bit more. You don't need to do it, but for me personally, it was nice to see like the other characters that I read about previously. And it was a real snippet with them. It wasn't like a long thing. It was really like, this is the friend group. This is what she's doing. And they came in every once in a while, but it wasn't anything like too crazy. But I love this story. It was a really, really good, I'm not even gonna call it a sweet read because it was smut, baby. It was smut. She was smutting out that man. Okay, slutting him out. But if that's your thing, get it. It is on Kindle Unlimited. That's how I got it. Also, buy it if you are able to, because again, we are supporting our indie Black romance authors because they are doing the good work of Big Sandals. Okay, because this book had me going through it today while I was trying to do my work. I was like, oh, she did what? She put her tongue where? Her hands are where? What is in his mouth? What is happening right now? So definitely get it. Again, let me show you the cover of this story. Oops, hold on. Make Room for Heather by Monique Fisher. That is the cover. It's on Kindle Unlimited. I don't know when it came out because sometimes I'll get books and actually let me see. I know it came out this year. It did come out this year, but I don't remember when. So I will say it's out right now. Enjoy it. I enjoyed it. Let me know if you do read it. Okay, if you have some BDSM slash explicit smut books that you would like me to read, or that you feel like um, are just good books, please let me know, because I'm always down to read a good smutty book. Okay, smuttier the better. Why choose all of that? I'm down with all of that, and I'm definitely going to try to come live more because I have been getting into reading a lot of novellas lately, and I have about 4 books that I'm reading right now, but this one I got through today because I just needed a break from like the sagas and the wars and the fantasy and the magic. So this was a really good palate cleanser. As always, you are your longest and most expensive relationship. Any money or time that you spend on being your favorite version of yourself is never money or time wasted. And enjoy. Let me know what you thought about this book if you do read it. It's already out, Kindle Unlimited. And thank you for watching.